This is going to be the first episode of the Chronicles of ECG. Now, on this particular episode, there's no telling how far we're going to go with this series. I'm just giving you a heads up now. It might be part 50 to the series. But I want to just kind of like outline certain things that have happened at ECG that people might forget that are quite interesting. And I'm going to give you an example in this video here. This episode is slightly going to focus on pastors. If you are a pastor of ECG and you had set in your heart that you want to serve God, this video is for you. If you are a pastor who is dodgy at ECG, this video is not for you. You're a dodgy man business. No, this video is not for you. You can skip. You are watching the wrong video. You can just like the video. We'll appreciate that one. But if you are a person who had said to yourself, Uri, you want to serve God, and you went to ECG convinced that at ECG you'll be able to do that, this video is meant for you. So this video, I'm going to frame it around something that's been happening at ECG. I'll give examples later on. On this video, I want to lay it out. ECG people know this. You haven't heard about it outside, but it's happening inside. It's happening in ECG. And what is this thing that I'm talking about? We're going to get into that. It's the reality show with the daily Christian commentary videos. On this particular episode, as I've stated, I'm going to focus on this particular subject of the evils of what's been happening at ECG that nobody will tell you about. The things that are silent. The things that people keep. They don't tell you anything about. Now, as I stated, if you're a pastor, you wanted to serve God, you went to ECG. This video is really meant for you. If you are a pastor who is a local resident in your country right now, this video is also for you. Because there's been something that's been happening at ECG that it's just quite interesting to see. And I want to lay it out here so that we can properly understand. This does not turn out well. This doesn't pan very well. And if you've meant to serve the gospel, you've meant to serve the kingdom, this is just not going to work. This is completely not going to work. Over the last couple of years, Bushiri has been replacing local citizen pastors. In South Africa, Bushiri has been replacing pastors who are South African born, ID carrying thingy. This is not, for what. No. There's nothing to do with that. Bushiri has been removing South African thingy. I'm going to talk for South Africa particularly, because this one, we can forecast it, right? And the reason why he's been doing this is because he wants to place people who are dodgy. It's been intentional. The people that have been placed in certain churches, completely dodgy people. Yeah. Now, if you're the dodgy one, relax. It's not about you. This is not about you. We're talking about the devil in your church. Okay? So calm down. And so, Bushiri has been replacing pastors. Now, personally, I've always said I'm an outside person. I don't understand ECG technology. Yeah, to understand ECG, you need to be part of the technology, And so, once I started to really hear about these things, you hear about it. It picked up my interest. He's been replacing pastors who are local South African resident pastors. For instance, the national pastor supposedly resigned. Supposedly resigned. But certain people were saying, or there was the rumors that there were people next to him that were there frustrating his position. And one of the issues was this issue of pastors who are local residents. So now, if you are a local South African resident pastor, you are an ID carrying. I'm just going to refer to you like that. It's not a thing. We are kingdom people, except those ones who serve their own God. They will let you build, work on the church, you build, you grow, you invite people, you bring people, and then after you've built this church, they'll remove you and put someone. And he puts people who are dodgy. When he removes the pastors, he puts dodgy people. So this video, I'm talking to the pastors. Those ones who are busy building. You are busy building. Yeah, you see that those verses that you read in the Old Testament, which says, the cities you build, you shall not. That's what you are doing. Like first, I'll give you an example. What's his name? Fritz. Not Fritz. No, Fritz is the white guy from Midred. Not him. The Felix. Felix was one of the pastors that got fired. They said he was disobedient, something like that. He got fired out of the church, and so he didn't have a church. Let's be very clear. Didn't have a church. And then all of a sudden, when he comes back to ECG, he is head of a bigger church. How? When did he build the church? When did he work on the congregation? Do you understand when I say build? We don't build churches, but you get what I mean. When did Felix build up that congregation? He's placed there, planted. Meaning someone was there building, and then the moment you have built, they remove you. They remove you, they place their own person there. And this has been something that Papa Bush has been doing for a while. Yeah, it's gone under. It's a subject that ECG people apparently know about, that's not talked about. That he keeps removing local resident and pastors that are loved. That's why you remember the story that we spoke about of Zambia. And then you heard me talking about the people in that church loved the pastor. It made sense now why that pastor was removed, because once the pastor has won the hearts of people like that. You remember that story? If you remember that story, we covered it, I think about it was last year. So apparently this has been the standard of what's been happening at ECG. He's been removing people. And also those who want to serve the gospel. Jesus, we look unto and all that kind of jazz. They say you won't last there. You won't last. It's only the people that say God of my father, God of God. Those are the ones that end up there. Now, by the way, if you're doing that, you're not a servant of God. No. Let's tell you straight up. You're a cultist. They didn't tell you. No, it's fine. We better tell you now so that you are a dodgy man business. Yeah, so we can tell you you're a dodgy man business because your reference is not unto God. And so this has been something that's been happening at ECG, and might be wrong. It's been said that the issue that removed the pastor, what's his name? Sam, Apostle Sam. They said this was the reason. This was the reason that he started asking questions and thingy, and then all of a sudden he had to dip it. Because it just becomes too much. And also, this might be part of episode number 2. Another pastor, a female pastor, who recently was serving in another church, which I think her name is Melody. I just heard that she also was removed in a branch by another pastor. And that pastor, when he came in, he was busy doing dodgy man things. We might talk about that on the next episode. But load shedding decides otherwise and whatnot. But this particular subject, I don't want to leave it like that. The reason why I want to cover this story here, let me fix up my light on my laptop here. Haibo. I have my laptop. The reason why I want us to talk about this is so that we can talk to these pastors who have convinced themselves that the only goal they have is to serve under whatever circumstances, without even realizing that what you are serving under, or the God you are serving under, has no reverence, has no love for his creatures. The pastors that are serving at ECG, you are temporary. They can kick you out at any point. Now, as I've stated, this is just the first episode, and I'm just giving hints of this particular subject here. And this particular lady's story here kind of caught my attention because recently there's been a branch that was taken from her that she was leading, and she's no longer in leading that particular role, removed. And among them, Doji, I don't know if I got it correctly or what's going on there, that the man them who took over, it's this guy here, Apostle, what is his name? Apostle Clive or something like that. Still not sure yet. But they say that he took over. So we'll get back to the story. We'll get back to it. But I'm giving this episode for those pastors that are over there defending with your life without thinking about what are you saving or who are you saving. Is it God you're saving? Pastors have been removed. Other pastors have been resigning. Pastors have been leaving. Why are they leaving? Huh? Why are the pastors are being separated with their wives? You see the same thing that we used to hear about TB Joshua. We are hearing the same thing about it, but we'll come back to it. Yeah, there are other pastors. I won't say their names, but they were separated. Pastor would be separated from his wife. Mandem is over there, and then before you know it, it brings friction into the relationship of that pastor. It causes issues. That's what exactly is happening also here at ECG. Now, people in the branch also, there are pastors at ECG. Pastor, I'm not talking about members. Pastors who also are leaving their husbands, and there's one, I can just mention that we're going to leave it there. Okay? On this episode, I wanted to hint at it. When you went there, what did you have in your mind? Did you want to serve men or did you want to serve God? Or did you deceive yourself? Or are you still deceiving yourself, thinking you are serving God when you clearly are not serving God? Because this particular subject matter, you will have to answer when you stand before them. There are pastors at ECG who have left their husbands. Yes, there is one who's leading a branch in Joburg, left her husband, occupying a dodgyman position over there. And one of these other ones, we hear that you are busy cooking up miracles and what, and that's according to what you've copied from Papa Pooh. And when the issue was supposedly, when the issue came up, the pastor that discouraged, that did not want to join into this entire whole church, is the pastor that was removed. And the pastor that was doing dodgy things is the one that maneuvered and became the pastor. So that tells you the agenda at ECG is no clarity. We don't care about the Bible. That's the kind of idea that you are hearing or you are seeing. And so this episode, I wanted to just hint at one of these subjects of the hidden agenda that's happening at ECG. It's not that the pastors over there don't know it. It's just that some of them, they want to be dull about it. Yeah, I'm telling you this. So that once it's got to me, then you know it's no longer okay. Once the story gets to me, you know that you are the one who's duping yourself. It will get to you. You who supposedly playing loyalty. You who supposedly and all these pastors, all these dodgy pastors out there who are out there to replace legit pastors. Yeah, there's legit pasters at ECG. Okay. Now I was like, ECG, why would the pastor go to ECG? You know? But then slowly you kind of like see it. With the Zambian story last year, I think that was the first time I even hear of such a topic. When I heard people that had been in the branch, they said, no, there's no such. They said, no, don't listen to those people. And then I wonder with the Tanzanian pastor, what exactly happened. Remember, the Kilimanjaro man, not Tanzania, the Kilimanjaro, I wonder, because the Kilimanjaro, they just changed the branding and they exited ECG. You, who's busy building, you might be building for others. You who's busy, supposedly tithing, that's another subject we'll talk about on a later on episode. On this particular episode, I wanted to hint at the issues that are creeping up and coming towards you. Looking at the current climate here, on episode number 2, I'll tackle the issue of the money and whatnot and how it's been handled at ECG. Come to that. With the particular subject of thingy, if you look at this issue here of them replacing local pastors and whatnot, in a situation where you have an EFF, that's how your church wants to handle subject like thing, your church will be kicked out of the country. I'm talking to the one who has set out that he's doing this, he's there at ECG saving God. Think about, where does this end? Once it gets to those level of where pastors are just removed, local pastors are removed, because already you know what kind of laws have been coming up with all these South Africans first type of idea. I'm just telling you ahead of time what kind of issues you should expect to see if these issues that you guys are doing now, are cooking now, continue. Should it get to those type of offices like EFF offices, your church will be out of the country. Because if there are people that are pushing the agenda of South Africans first, I say whoever qualifies gets the job. That's my position. Whoever is qualified, let them get the job. But if you people keep pushing this particular thing that you are busy up to, do you think it will stand against that? Where people have now this thing, they are trying to push for laws or ideals or political ideals such as South Africans first, and you people are replacing South Africans. Like a majority of the churches where I'm talking about, he's putting either Zimbabwean pastors affiliated to Papa UB over there, and then Malawian pastors more. Okay, Limpopo branches, pastors removed, a Malawi pastor is placed there. There's countless, this particular thing that I'm talking about. Right now, there's also another one where a lady has just come. They built her a branch right next to another branch. Why? Because this branch had started wanting to be legit. They built another branch next to this other. Why? Because they're trying to take thingy into those ones who are going to be obedient. So you who wants to be legit, who have told yourself that you are going to be legit, this video is a hint for you. You're going to wise up. You are busy loyaltying to people. You don't know they will sell you off for mascopas. Mascopas, they will just sell you off as mascopas. That cheap. Strict Reality Show, we do daily Christian commentary videos. I'm not part of your church. I couldn't get, whether you decide otherwise, you don't believe me, you think whatnot. The funny thing is that, when you talk to people like ECG people, they know these things are happening, but they will rather ignore it because they don't feel like it will affect them. You have been in this branch, you've been building and working and building and working on this branch. It builds up. And now, what I'm talking about, why am I even going too far? I know in CBD there was another thingy. Before you know it, the pastor, they moved. They will build the church, build. Once the church builds up, install their own pastor. Don't say we didn't warn you. On the next episode, we'll tackle the subject matter of the money and the carelessness of people how people have been treated at ECG. Next episode, only God knows what we were going. It's Ricky. This is just a Jane. We are just starting. Since we are already talking about the Botswana entire jazz that's going on over there, let's go in there, and then let's go back there, and then deal with those things. Not as if we don't know, but as some of the information that we are clearly seeing. You who has deceived yourself to worship a man, or to be subject to a man, not to be subject to God. You are so replaceable. They will replace you like this. I'll come back to the subject. It's Ricky. We're done.